Thank you, gentlemen and guns. Coming.
Hey guys, it's Bert. I'd like to ask for a small favor. If you plan on buying my book, Life of the Party, then please pre-order it at BertCast.com. The pre-order sales are literally the determining factor on how well the book does opening week, and how well it does opening week determines how well the book does overall. Writing this book is one of the proudest achievements of my entire life, and I want to share it with as many people as I can. You pre-ordering it makes that possible. So do me a solid, pull out your credit card and go to BertCast.com and pre-order Life of the Party. Thank you so much. You know I love you. Today's guest from the TNT Radio Empire out of Omaha, Nebraska, it is Tyler and Todd Brandt. Todd and Tyler. Enjoy.
This is the Bertcast.
It's your show.
Yeah.
I'm still here. I said, let's go. Somebody else can do the show. Good crowds this weekend?
Fucking amazing.
Kids, man.
I'm trying to push this book, so I feel like a whore.
Oh, yeah?
I genuinely am, spending all
you made a good point. I didn't know that. The pre-order makes a big difference, huh? When it comes to the sales and lists and shit like that?
It becomes exactly what... It's so dirty. I can't... Are you rolling right now?
No.
Oh, fuck it. No, I don't care. No. That's what a podcast is. It becomes so dirty. I love this book. By the way, I'm in studio right now. I'm not even in their studio, but I am in a studio. That's why you're saying the sound sounds so fucking good today.
Hold on, I had to hit the bleep button. You said fuck.
Yeah. That's why it sounds so good.
Somebody said fuck.
We didn't say fuck.
Todd and Tyler.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man?
Good. I appreciate you guys doing this.
Thanks for having us on your podcast. That's very cool.
It's so fun. Doing your show is so fun because your show is technically the same energy as what a podcast is.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, yeah.
You don't feel like you're setting up bits.
Right.
You feel like if you bring a bit in, you feel like dirty.
Well, we don't let anybody get through it. You've been on the show enough, and over the years, people have tried it. They try to slip one in, and
our audience could even catch that.
Yeah, they hate it too.
They're that perceptive. They've heard enough, comedian conversations that.
Plus, I want comedians to have a good time. Like you, I imagine when you guys have a good time. I just don't want people to have to worry about setting up their bits, blowing their material for the show that weekend.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of them aren't even fucking funny. Not yours. Yours are always funny.
Ask me if I rented a car. I stole that from Dom Herrera.
Yes, you did. But he was joking. Dom was joking. Remember that? Dom was joking.
He was. Yeah.
I did a podcast with Dom one time, and I had a number of great run-ins with Dom. Like Dom was the guy I'd see at the Atlanta airport, and he would be at the bar drinking white wines at 8 a.m, and I knew I could pony up next to him and get half a Xanax. And he always had girl drama. He was always with a girl who had a huge makeup case with her.
Oh, I met him years ago, too, when we met a bunch of times, but he was in town.
He was always with a girl that was out of his league.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
But he always had girl trouble. I remember that, too. You're right.
Always had girl trouble. But sweet. Okay, so I'm not going to try to make this too interviewy, but I do have, genuine questions that I'm a huge radio fan. Mm-hmm. And I think that radio is the purest extension of a personality.
Okay,
and I
agree.
I think podcast is a example of that. Radio is so refined. You don't realize how good radio shows are until you have your own podcast. Like do you know what I'm saying?
Well, because I've talked to a lot of comedians who've started podcasts, and it's. We wake up every day on our show, and it's 4 to 5 hours of just blah, blah, blah every fucking day. Because I can say that great.
Yeah, every freaking day.
Frick. I used to say frick all the time. I can say fuck. But you're right, Joe. I think when comedians start doing podcasts, they realize they got to keep the conversation going. They got to fill some time. And, a lot of them can do it. Obviously, you can do it. I've heard a lot of great things about your podcast, but it makes you appreciate radio, I'm sure.
In their defense, they usually don't bring in a big staff.
No, that's true, too.
It's usually like when I see Marin's show, it's one-on-one. Is that mostly your?
Oh yeah. Marin's is literally in that garage, and
really?
And he turns the AC off because he wants the audio to be right.
Oh really?
And it's hot as fuck, and you are sweating. But he's such an interesting guy because he'll hold your feet to the flames if he needs to.
Right.
But and I know he doesn't like hearing this, but he's one of the sweetest guys.
I've heard that. We've talked to him a couple of times. He seems like a real nice guy. Yeah. But how long have you been? When did you start yours?
It's the biggest mistake I ever made.
Now people want you to keep them going.
Yeah.
And you're not busy enough.
And well, you know what? Here's the thing. I would love to do what Bill Burr does and just do a rant. I would love to do what you guys do.
Right.
You guys are not guest specific.
No.
People listen to you because of who you are.
Right.
And I genuinely believe that had I not gotten into stand-up, I'd be doing radio somewhere.
I can hear you doing that, yeah, sure.
And I think I would have the personality where I could carry a show just me and another guy talking.
Right.
However, that ability is so fucking hard. I just sound like I'm starting a Nazi youth group with an unfocused Nazi youth group. Like I start ranting about stuff, and then I go, that feels insensitive.
Right.
Like I was talking the other day about how, by the way, I do a solo podcast every now and then just for myself.
Okay, great.
And
just a rant.
Just a rant.
Right.
Just a rant. And I was talking about how SNL hired the black female only because they were looking for a black. They wanted
right.
See, right there, I feel insensitive.
No,
but
when
I'm by myself, I start spiraling and I go, didn't mean a black, a couple blacks. Why am I saying black? I could call them no, don't say no. What am I saying? So I literally get into this like, so I don't do them by myself because then I literally am.
You overanalyze.
Do you ever feel like because you drive your paycheck from a corporate source?
Right.
Do you ever feel the corporation on your shoulders?
You know, I'll give Journal Broadcasts. They're based in Milwaukee, our headquarters.
Rarely,
because we've been doing it for a long time, and at least for 15 years, we don't take any shit at all, really. And we really go. You've heard the show. We do hardcore religion, hardcore. You know, we're pretty liberal guys, and we have bosses. We know their personal lives are not necessarily like ours at all, and never. And in fact, with stockholders and board members, not once do we've been called on the carpet of said something we said higher up. The only time they ever get worried is if we ever do something that might be technically FCC illegal, like the word fuck, and we never can say that. So this is great. I love to say this on the microphone.
Once in a while, a middle management guy will come in and make a political or religious concern, and they're no longer with us.
No, you're right. That's been a long time. So we're lucky. We're lucky, and our company has backed us, and of course we've treated them with some ratings too. But they could still ride our ass more than they do, and they really don't.
What's the biggest trouble you guys have ever been in?
Oh God. Usually if it involves the R word. You can say that here, right? Retard.
Oh yeah, you can.
Once in a while, we don't use it often, but it'll come up in conversation.
A retard owner will have a little problem with it.
Yeah, we'll get some crap about because we're holding advertisers too. So if somebody,
that's where it gets tricky.
Right.
That there is freedom of speech, but you have these advertisers that are. Here's the thing that. I get concerned right now because I know I'm not beholden to advertisers on this podcast, but in my regular job I am. And
you're all over TV, man.
Yeah, and when you hang out with them, they're just as regular as you.
Right.
But then they have a line they draw in corporate wise.
Yes.
And it's so weird to be hanging out with them and you're having drinks and they're just as fun.
Yes.
And then they say,
"Oh, exactly." No, I say off-color things into my bosses at dinner, drinks.
That they have to answer.
So who's the guy at the top who's making? Because who's the guy that's holding the line
in our company?
No, because we all know that people outrage is in short supply.
Right.
It is 5 people that get outraged, but they're the loudest voice.
They are the loudest voice. You're right, because even people who don't agree with us over the years still don't turn us on or yell at us or bitch to the bosses. They just say, "Well, okay, I disagree," or didn't think that was off color. I'll do something else. But I don't know who is the people in charge. That's a good point. I don't know. I don't even understand the question technically because
are you?
That's why I'm talking in fucking circles.
Are you talking about certain groups?
Yeah, like who's the?
Certain groups will make a lot of noise.
Oh, okay.
They will target your advertisers or target your management.
What happens?
And more often than not, now you have access to the corporate higher ups.
Yeah.
So they'll hear about it, but they don't give a shit.
No, not within our company, but we are syndicated. So we go into a new market. That's the trouble right there. The first 3, 6, 8 months, we'll get a call from their boss to our boss. should they have done that? And our boss just explains, this is the show. This is what you asked for, and some things are going to be a little off color. Some things are going to be this and that. You got to deal with it if you want you want the show to work.
It depends upon the structure. You know, in a lot of small-time radio, it's the friends of the wife's general manager.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Decisions.
In some small towns,
I heard that, and I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you want to get a radio job and get a radio job inside the town where all the corporate people are?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst.
Sweet.
The wives and the kids and everybody's got something to say about it.
Yeah.
Now,
like I said, we've really been lucky, though. You know.
Now, how does like for people listening, and use your trajectories if possible, how does radio work? I would say you guys are. I know this because I do radio, but you guys are at pretty much the top of the mountain. Every radio show's dream is to be syndicated. Yeah, I have a buddy, Cowhead, who syndication is his goal. Okay, like his more syndication, the better. And so you guys are there. How does it start?
Well, we want a lot more. Todd-N-Tyler want a lot more. But, you know, the thing about that, you know what? We dominated in our home market for a long, long time, and we always wanted more people to hear it. You know, and this is pre-podcast, obviously, and pre-apps.
But you guys started in, like, the morning zoo era.
Oh, well, we weren't doing that kind of show, obviously.
But that was like the hit.
When we came to town, it was a zoo show here.
I did for a little while.
You did the zoo?
I did Top 40. You know, for a little while.
I did.
That's what I remember as a kid. I remember Q Morning Zoo in Tampa, Florida, and I remember them, tookie, tookie. Yeah. And I would be like, oh, it's the tookie bird. Yeah. Like, so politically incorrect, by the way. By the way, back then, they had a character called Taniqua, Tales from Taniqua, and it was just an uneducated black person ordering food at McDonald's. Just, and it was just racist.
There was an era about that. Yeah,
yes.
You could be clever racist, and I think that's not. I shouldn't say clever racist. You can make race-colored jokes that are fun. I think that's why people put up with us.
Where did he hide the burning cross?
Right.
It's in the backyard.
As long as you're mocking racism.
Yes.
When you make those jokes. And a lot of people don't get that either. Yeah.
We're giving the benefit of the doubt a lot because the whole show, when we do something that people are pissed off about, they remember the other parts, they laugh about, and they know we're decent people. We're not trying to raise any hell. You know, we're not pissed off at anybody. And
it's all if you have a good heart, I think. People,
plus, we're liberal guys too, so we're not telling you what to do in your life. We don't give a shit. You know, have an abortion. You know, fuck who you want. We don't care. You know. Yeah. I mean, we don't care.
Usually it's the other way around.
I love saying that on the mic. We're back on the air live tomorrow morning. At the current time, we're doing
Get to be a shirt.
He's got the wrong order there. First, you fuck whoever you want, and then you have the abortion.
Yeah,
there is something, by the way, I want to go back to this, but there is something very, I love economists, because economists just deal with facts. They don't deal with emotion.
Right.
So, like, I went to Disney the other day, and I saw an abnormal amount of people with Down syndrome.
Yeah, okay.
I just haven't. Right. I mean, growing up, I remember there was always like one family who had a child with Down syndrome, and at the baseball field, and there was a couple kids. So you always saw that, and I just noticed at Disney, I haven't seen that in a very long time. You see a lot of kids with autism, but you don't really see it like straight up Down syndrome. My friend is what you would call an economist, and I said something like, Why is that? Like, I noticed that. Why is that? And he's like, oh, it's abortion. A lot of people now, they do the tests, and they get the prenatal test, and they find out that they have a child with Down syndrome, and they decide to abort it.
It's tough. A lot of women do get that done ahead of time. You're right.
And I was like, whoa. But I love people that just deal with facts.
Right, they do.
Just go, oh, that's why this is happening. That's why that all the hockey players, like Malcolm Gladwell's books, are awesome.
Well, that's also why, that's Freakonomics, too, because, you know, there's less crime nowadays because they aborted everybody, all the bad kids in the 70s and the 80s. You know?
Right.
Not bad kids that grew up in shitty situations.
Impoverished situations.
Bad kids. What have you. Well, let's give them a year. We'll see how it turns out.
Face it, they would have turned out to be assholes.
Yeah. So you guys started. You started in Pennsylvania, you started in
North Dakota. I started in high school. I was 15 years old when I actually got a radio paycheck.
Shut up.
Well, it was minimum wage.
15 years old.
It was a radio paycheck.
What were you doing? I mean, like, what was radio like then? Was it wheel to wheel? Like,
it was.
But no, I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, it was a small town, 3,500 people. So this is 1 a.m. station.
It was North Dakota.
And
that.
You did everything. You did the hospital report. You did the livestock report in the morning. Yeah, you did an hour. I remember sitting down, and when I would fill in for the morning guy, I would have to read news for an hour. For a fucking hour.
Yeah. Are you serious?
And then the music we played was country during the day and then rock at night.
Like, what was the big rock song that came out?
And polka in between.
Well,
dude, Lawrence Welk had an album. I just saw a throwback. He's like, 500 years of polka. And I was like, I think one will do it.
I was there.
It's the polka song, yeah.
Yeah, all through high school. But the first song I played on the radio was Oh, What a Night, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Oh, what a night.
Yes.
Dun, dun,
And it was 1964. Todd's that old.
Yeah.
So that's North Dakota. Where did you start in Pennsylvania?
I went to college at a school with Millersville University back right outside in that area, central Pennsylvania, and then got into college radio right there. So I just loved it from day one, basically. And then started working right in Harrisburg. And I was rock. I only worked rock radio. I was just a regular rock jock. I thought I'd go into that side of the business, and I'd always fill in for the morning guy after a while. They moved Todd to our station at the time. In the late, what was that?
92?
God, 92.
1992?
Yeah, 92. We got together.
Just started college in 91.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
So now
we got together right around then, yeah.
I'm trying to put a face on that. That is, you guys are in Philly. That is the time, I
we're
guess.
in Harrisburg area. Yeah.
Stern is in D.C. at the time?
Stern was in D.C. No, D was more, he was in New York by then. He was in New York by then, yeah. But, I never listened to Stern because he wasn't in my town. So, I mean,
was he on in Philly at the time?
He was on in Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on in Philly, but I never listened to him in the time. So I knew what he did, but we didn't really follow anybody's format. We just were two guys that had a lot in common at the time and a lot of differences, and we got along with it. It made each other laugh, and it worked from day one. It really did. Yeah.
And so when did they put you guys together? In 92?
After about 6 months, so we were working the same station. Todd was working with a married couple. The show was called Dave, Colleen, and Todd, and I was doing afternoons.
Are Dave and Colleen still doing radio?
No, Dave's a preacher and Colleen's a bitch.
Well, Colleen was a bitch back then.
I don't know. I don't know what she's doing now. Dave's actually a preacher. He's a decent, he's an upstanding preacher now. I guess he got into Jesus later on. And then I was doing afternoons. They moved me and Todd together. This woman.
Did you talk to Dave?
No, I was on Facebook, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We don't keep in touch with Colleen.
No, really? I have no idea what she ever
did. They got divorced, I guess?
Here was the dynamic. Dave was the program director. He had to fire his wife and then move Tyler in the mornings with me.
Oh, you shitting me?
And then Dave, the program director, moved to afternoons.
Right.
So when did you guys know you guys were a good fit?
Almost immediately.
Almost, yeah.
Was there a moment where you guys looked at like one of my best friends is a guy named Tom Segura.
Okay.
Very funny comedian. And we did a podcast. We did his podcast like very long time ago.
Right.
And we realized we play very well off each other, but
right.
we don't. But there's no room for. There's no way to do a duo podcast of me and him.
No,
it's just we don't have time to do
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
But we went very quickly, and we were laughing so hard at each other. We were like, "Oh, this works." Was that moment?
I think you can tell because you can really tell it more often when you have to deal with other people that you have no chemistry. Almost immediately, and not that I didn't work full-time mornings till.
But we had plenty of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
really? So you had that to compare it to.
Yeah, you did. When you meet other people, when you start talking to them on the radio, and there's nothing that bounces back and forth. Although that person's good in their own business, it is more of a bounce back thing.
But we found the same stuff funny.
Yeah,
philosophically,
stupid,
it's synced up a lot
right.
better than anything I'd ever been with.
Yeah, so it worked out pretty much right away. We moved to Omaha 6 months after that. About 10 years later, syndication maybe, I think it was, somewhere 10, 13 years later, syndication or something like that. But TNTRadioEmpire.com for all the people all over the country who listen to Bert Kreischer's podcast. TNT, and there's a free app to search Todd and Tyler, too. I want to get our plugs in there.
It's going to be great. I wish I had done this before my shows in Omaha. I'm a fucking idiot. Who's coming up? Who's coming? Let's promote someone else's show. I'm posting this tonight.
Oh, you are?
I'm going to post it tonight. I was like,
Rob Little. I
know Rob Little.
Okay, Rob's
guys,
here next weekend.
Let's use this to promote Rob Little's weekend. Rob Little is a great comedian.
He's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
He's a fun guy. We've known Rob since we all. Some girl whipped off her pants for us and her top in a.
Has that changed in radio? Can girls get naked in studio anymore?
No, but we did it plenty in the back in the day.
Fucking hate it.
But Rob Little was in a van with us when the shit got naked, and it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a broadcast, but I remember that. And Rob, that's how we met Rob years ago. That was years ago, by the way, in case my wives are downloading the podcast. No, we used to have naked women in the studio all the time, but it really wasn't. It became boring because it was like the chick's naked and we can see her. You're not. Radio got old. That got old quick, I thought. But it was fun for a while,
I remember doing radio and they'd bring naked women in, and you were like, I remember one time I did Playboy Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And Travel Channel had set it up, and I was like, I don't think you guys are aware what they do on their show. And they're like, no, it's great exposure. And I was like, okay. And so then they played a game, Real or Not Real.
All right.
And
tits.
Yeah, and so I was supposed to field tits, real or not real. And I was like, give me 2 seconds. And I called my rep at Travel. I was like, Anna, they're playing a game called Real or Not Real. I'm just letting you know.
Tit flip.
That I may be.
That's on. You put that on TV now.
Just so you know, I'm representing the brand, and I'm about to feel a bunch of tits. And she was like, "It's okay." They lined it up. They lined it up.
I love the Travel Channel. It's
so
so cool,
you have
man.
no idea what great fucking people they are.
I watch it all the time. I really do, man. I watch all that shit. Your
now,
shows,
did they film
obviously.
that for the Travel Channel?
No, they did not.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Colleen, can I get more vodka in this?
Yeah, we got great Bloody
I'm
Marys
going to take
morning,
a great fucking nap.
I don't know if that translates to radio.
What?
Grabbing tits.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, it's Playboy Channel. I've heard it on satellite.
Yeah.
Playboy that show. Andrea. They're never going to be out here. But if you're ever in LA, it is Andrea and Kevin are two of the coolest people. Andrea was like on The Surreal Life. She's a model. She's gorgeous, but she has a bit where she just motorboats you, and that really doesn't translate to radio.
Yeah, I wouldn't think
but
so.
it is so fucking enjoyable. And she has literally the perfect body. She is one that girl is radio gold. She is interesting as fuck.
Right.
Who is someone that you've brought in that came into the studio and you were like, not really feeling it, but they turned out to be amazing radio?
Oh my God!
Like comic.
A lot of people probably.
Doesn't have to be comic.
They
though.
were afraid of in the beginning, and that's a tough one. I was the other way around. It happened quicker with us, and we've since then made up and have on the show a bunch of times. But did you write a note? I thought Colin was going to write a note down with somebody that was a dick. God, do you have anybody in your mind right now that was?
No, it's just like random.
No, I'll tell the Ralphie May story.
Right? What's Ralphie May story?
No, first of all, everything's cool with Ralphie.
Yeah, I'm real good friends with Ralphie.
We're all real cool with Ralphie now. About 5 years ago, Ralphie came in, and we had never met him, and we had never had a problem with a comedian. Now, once again, this story ends good. And he comes in, and he'd come in, and we never met him. I knew he was funny, but he came in, he's a white hip hop guy. He kind of played, he played that pretty hard.
That's so interesting that's how you decide to describe Ralphie.
But it's not.
I would start with 600 pounds. And I love Ralphie to death.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He came in with an attitude that day, and we didn't. And we know. And you've been on the show. We first met you in person. We didn't have an attitude. And 5-10 years ago, we didn't have an attitude either. So we come in with an attitude. He mentioned long hair and
mullets. He specifically mentioned mullets,
which we don't have.
We don't have. And so that really gets under our fucking skin.
The long hair, the rock. He just came off like really pissy, and it was just like, this guy's a dick. Now we didn't say anything at we didn't say get out of the studio. We're polite. He did the show, and then we just literally ripped him on the air for about a year. It just ripped him bad. Yeah. Longer than that, wasn't it? Oh yeah. And he started running the comedians we knew, and like I said, and at that point we've had hundreds of comedians, and had problem with one. And I knew he was famous, but we started ripping him, and when we don't even do that, we just felt bad that he ripped us, so we ripped him. He finally, one day out of the blue, we got 2 nice bottles of whiskey, right?
Yeah, I think this is when social media started kicking in, Twitter.
But he started running comedians we knew, and said that what I do, I don't know what I did. I heard they rip me. I got to make up with these guys. And he sent us 2 gorgeous bottles of whiskey, expensive stuff, and we drank it and got a hold of him. He called us. We apologized. He apologized. He kept apologizing over and over again, and then since then he's been in the studio a couple of different times, and we're all buddies. But that was a weird situation that he had the shitty attitude, and he actually admitted it. He defended, and he apologized. But other than that, I can't think of anybody that we actually. Hold it.
Colleen's got notes.
All right, this is a podcast.
Colleen's got notes.
What was the question again? Somebody we didn't think would be all that good and
wasn't
great?
that good? No. Well, Jimmy Walker sucked. He was a dick.
Oh.
He was a dick to us.
Was that back when you were in North Dakota?
No, you're right. That's a good point. That was here. Jimmy Walker was a dick, and you know what?
Jimmy Walker was doing local talk radio.
After the fact.
He was talking, the suburban Omaha City Council and School District, and he didn't know how to pronounce names, and I think he was doing it from his hotel room in Vegas.
This is what I feel bad about, because we have a sound effects machine in there that we call the Winslow 800, and it's named after Michael Winslow.
Wait, let's finish the story about Jimmy Walker.
Oh, okay. Right.
That he won't say dynamite on the air, but he'll sell you 100 fucking T-shirts that say dynamite.
Yeah, I didn't even.
Why wouldn't you say? I mean,
I don't know.
He had an attitude when he walked into, but
we would have had a conversation to.
It's interesting
come
to people
that conclusion.
who and I don't even know Jimmy Walker, but who aspire for fame and success.
Right.
But then when it gets to them, they don't. They wanted it their way. Like I don't. If people go, you're the trip flip guy, you're Travel Channel, you're the fucking machine, you rob a train, do a shot, like whatever they say. I go, all right, great, like because I that's why I'm doing this. That's why I do the podcast, and so that someone goes, you're the machine,
right?
Like, you know,
you don't run away from that.
I took a shot with a bunch of frat boys when I was supposed to be spending the afternoon with my daughters and wife. I was like, they're on the Ferris wheel. What can I fucking do? All right, let's do a shot. Jaeger bombs. Like I am such a fucking empty vessel.
I was thinking about you the other day. I said this on the air. We talked to you the other day too. We said that you said you tell the machine every night,
every single night.
Okay. Now I was saying that's got to be tough. Although it's a great story and you're into it every time. Yeah. And I was saying Larry the Cable Guy, he just said get her done, and his deal was no matter what he says, he can change the material up this whole fucking life. He's a good friend of ours, and all as long as he says get her done once in a while, that's cool. But at least his is only get her done. Yours is a 10-minute story. And when will be the day?
I don't know.
Now you're famous. There will be a day.
There has to be.
There has to be.
I have to retire the story at some point.
But anytime soon, I don't think so.
I've been telling you.
The day is when it gets back to Russian officials, and we brought this up after you left. All the criminal activity that is involved in that story.
Travel Channel said they want to do a special where they send me back to Russia. With like a college class, and I take them, or
because of the story.
Yeah, because of the story. I don't know. That's a really great question because I don't like. Here's the deal. I really thought coming through Omaha this time because I told it on your show.
Yeah,
and I thought coming through this time.
And people still want to hear it all the time. I suppose our producer, they still want to hear it all the time.
Thursday show or Friday show, first show. I do some material up front, some newer material. I'm working on a few stories.
Machine!
Yeah, and the whole thing. And by the way, that doesn't bother me.
No.
When people yell out the machine, that is a nod and a pat on the back that I'm doing the right thing. I'm not bothered by that in the slightest.
No, not at all.
So I get to like 20 minutes into my set, and I usually tell it towards the end of the set. And at 20 minutes, I go, "Do you guys?" They're yelling it so much. I go, "You guys want to hear the machine story?" And the whole crowd goes nuts. And I go, "All right, I'll tell it." And it starts the same way every time. I go, when I was 22, I got involved with the Russian mafia, and they go fucking bananas. And I was like, oh God! All I could think was, I'm telling this the next 4 times I come to Omaha. This isn't even close to being retired.
Those are the right lyrics.
Yeah, that's the right lyrics. Talk about Igor.
Have you retired it anywhere?
Oh no, I have not in 2 years.
It's been 2 years.
I have
now.
not told it one time. One time, the Late Show in Columbus, Stroop comes out. Late Show, we're doing 3 shows on a Saturday.
Right.
And I'm like, I can get away with not telling it on a Late Show Saturday. I'm already drunk. It's a light crowd. Mm-hmm. It's not sold out. I don't tell it. Stroop comes up and he goes, what the fuck? I go, what? And he goes, you didn't tell the machine story.
This guy runs a club.
And I go, yeah, I know. And he goes, there's some people that are upset. I go out, and there's 12 people waiting outside. And they're like, how come you didn't tell the machine story? And I go, I just thought, and they're like, no, we came for the machine story. I was like, all right, everybody back into the bar. I go into the bar, and I just tell the machine story. And they're like, that's what we came for. It's interesting.
I bet you I could look at my inbox right now. There will be a dozen requests for, is there any way we can find the machine story?
Oh, yeah, there is. I looked at it already.
It's interesting, but there's those things that, like what was it for you guys that was, like, the thing? What's that?
That's an email.
It's an email.
Are you serious?
Machine,
and where we can find the machine story.
Schwartz.
Yeah. Got it yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, come to the show.
Come to the show.
I don't know when I was saying this
earlier. Or catch Bert in the bar after the show if he doesn't tell the story.
Dude, I am such a person that is out there for the people that like me.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's probably unhealthy. We were talking about the book at the beginning of the thing,
right?
And it's the they have a very candid. It's interesting when you sell a book. They're like, fantastic. We can't wait 9 months. We're going to do 9 months, and then we should be done with the first thing, and we'll get into production. It took me 2.5 years. And so, then again, I was the guy that went to college for 7. So then you get done, and they're like, all right, now, here's the real deal. If you want it to get into Barnes & Nobles, our pre-order sales need to be good. And I was like, wait, in your head, you're like, I thought it was just going to be there.
Right. I would think it's a book's out. It's in a store, especially at Barnes & Noble.
Well, you need...
They have everything at Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble, clearly, and I don't know why this passed by my common sense, there needs to be a demand. There needs to be a demand, so they need to see the demand.
Isn't there upfront money at all to do it?
Oh, I got upfront money, but there needs not a lot. But
yeah.
Like,
what's not a lot?
Like like I could maybe support a family in Taiwan for
okay.
a month.
Okay, but have you written a book before?
No, but I'm no.
Then why do they expect a bunch of I can see where somebody's a prominent author. Yeah, okay, whatever. I buy whatever of his stuff, and I'll pre-order a bunch of that stuff. So that would seem kind of difficult to me.
You'd be shocked. They
rookie
actually
author.
say stuff like they actually said, when you go to Omaha, are you doing radio? And I go, yeah. And because I thought I'd be here early enough to do radio.
Right.
I go, I'm doing Todd-N-Tyler. Google him, and you'll know how big the show is. And they're like, perfect, awesome. You'll go on there, you'll talk about the book. Because they literally pre-order sales dictate. I'm saying like dictate in actual numbers how many orders Barnes & Noble buys, how many books they buy, and put and where they put them. I remember working at Barnes & Noble, and there was a book called Golden Boy, Matt Damon. And I guess the pre-orders were through the fucking roof because I was told I remember told one day, go take Golden Boy off the new fiction, nonfiction, and move it up to the front table. And I didn't. I was like, fuck Matt Damon. I was like, he's got so much good shit going on in his life, and I'm sucking dick here at Barnes & Noble, and I put him in the fucking storage room downstairs. I was like, and every day I got fired from that Barnes & Noble for working out in the basement. I was working out in the basement in my underwear, and they had cameras. I didn't fucking know, but I remember I would work out, and I would see Golden Boy Matt Damon staring me in the fucking eyes as I'm doing push-ups in my underwear, just going, suck it, Matt Damon. Enjoy your fucking life in Hollywood. Your book's not going to move shit in Astor Place. but that it is so, and it's really what's really weird, and this is vulnerable for me.
What do you have to? How many do you have to pre-order for kids in Barnes & Noble?
What's the book cost?
5,000.
5,000.
5,000. All right.
This is, by
You
the
have
way,
a lot
this
of
is
fans,
from,
so you
this
might
is
get
from a
5,000
friend. I
pre-order.
will not say her name. Oh, fuck. Never mind. Jen Kirkman
Got it.
told me Jen Kirk is an amazing comic. If she ever comes in town, you will love her. She does your show. That's who she is. In her stage, she is a perfect fit for you guys, and she'd sell a ton of tickets. She's on Chelsea lately.
Got it.
And so Jen Kirkman, we get done the podcast, and she goes, you got to pimp this book. Don't be shy. You go and you talk about this book. You tell your fans, I'm going to be talking about this book a lot. I worked hard on it. I want people to read it. And she was like, you need to tell your fans that in order for new people to read this book, they need to buy it. If they support you, they need to buy it. And she's like, and she looked me in the face in my driveway. She goes, you need to sell 5,000 copies on pre-order. And so that was my benchmark.
Right.
So I was like 5,000 copies. And so I put like a disclaimer at the front of my podcast, and my editor calls me like the next day. He goes, dude, sales are up 500%. And I went, seriously? He's like, yep. I was like, did I hit my mark? And he goes, well, no, let's just say the week before they were very slow. I go, how slow? He goes, well, you sold one. But here's the point.
I sold 501.
Yeah.
All right. Or 500.
What's the book cost? You know?
It's $16.
$16.
Yeah,
Right.
16
How much
bucks.
of that do you see? You don't know?
Now we're asking.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea. Do you guys negotiate your own contracts?
I know.
We got an agent.
We have a guy.
Yeah.
Do you is okay? You don't have to answer this.
Sure.
But as a comic, when I hear a show is syndicated, I go, these dudes are fucking rich.
Not true.
Really?
Not true at all. Not fucking true. They pay us well for where we're at, but the syndication part is not where you get rich unless you not yet.
Okay,
we're not rich, not at all. Fuck no.
Let's play a game. Okay.
All right.
You don't have to be honest about this,
Probably
but let's
won't
play
be.
a game, and I will name a radio host,
All right.
and you tell me how much money he makes.
Do we know?
You don't have to. You just ballpark it.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, ballpark it?
Yeah, ballpark it.
All right.
Ballpark it. Let's say like, God damn it, now I can't think of any, because all I can think of guys I like, and they're going to be like, don't bring me up.
We don't fucking know. I mean, some of them maybe I'm making ballpark it.
Like,
maybe.
what would be like, say a guy in Tampa. Let's say Cowhead. Do you know who Cowhead is?
No, I know the name.
Okay, Michael Calta.
Right.
He's killing the name Cowhead. He's going back to Michael Calta.
Okay.
He's I've known the guy for fucking 12 years. I'm never gonna call him Michael.
Did he get rid of Cowhead because a man cow? That thing or not?
No. Okay,
that's
let's
a pretty good sized market. Does he win?
He does.
Does he dominate his
He's
demos?
afternoons, and he's a number one
Afternoons.
ratings in
Tampa.
from 3 to 7.
Does he have much of a staff with him, or is it just him?
He's got. This is so much fun right now. Cowhead is fucking sitting in his Range Rover, which we're about to find, if he can afford it or not. And he's holding on his steering wheel going, please, I say a high fucking number. He's got a staff. He's got one producer, John Brennan. He's got a sidekick, Galvin. Sidekick, Galvin's like a co-host. He's got a sidekick, Spanish. He's got probably a staff of like 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
He might make $500,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He might.
If he's
it's afternoon, though.
If he's generating income.
Yeah, I think he is. What would someone
hope it's more than what he makes, so he's pissed.
Right now he's like, I'll take $500,000.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm telling you right now, I'm releasing this tonight.
He
Monday
might.
morning.
We want to know now. We're close.
Yeah, I will get Cal. You can call into Todd and Tyler, and you can talk about how much money you make. So, like, what do like Kevin and Bean make?
Well, they're in L.A. $1 apiece, maybe.
Maybe more.
Really?
Yeah.
More, yeah.
Holy shit. So like, radio is the.
I want to say closer to 2 or 3.
It depends.
Yeah.
You're right.
For those guys.
Maybe. Yeah. L.A. They've been there a long time.
What do you think? Do you think how much do you think Adam Carolla is making on his podcast?
Well, he sells that. You're right. All I've ever heard is Carolla and who else? And maybe Marin makes some money off their podcast, right? Well, Marin probably does too by now, but the Carolla has
that's
a
probably
sponsor,
just based
doesn't
on revenue. You know,
I don't know. Carolla's called the show.
Nobody steps up and pays them to podcast.
No, not at all.
That's their own
pay you to podcast?
I don't even have a sponsor.
I know.
Okay.
I don't have a sponsor for a reason.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Because I do this all myself. So like today, when he gives me the thumb drive, I will then go to my hotel room, plug it in, do an intro, and then post it. And I'm very simple in that I've got a basic intro outlined on my thing that one of the editors for TripFlip he just put a format so I can plug things in, and it just never fit out to put in a sponsor. And I don't want to deal for like sponsors will give you. I'm gonna ballpark this, but like $800 per 30,000 downloads.
Got it.
And so
is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So best like on this podcast, I'd make $1,600. I'm not shitting on $1,600 at all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't entice me to do a. Let's just say Stamps.com, which my wife actually fucking uses.
Yeah.
She actually uses them. And when I made that comment to her, she goes, I actually use them. They're a great fucking product.
Yeah.
They're a great service. I don't know why you wouldn't do a Stamps.com. And I'm like, because I don't want to read a fucking Stamps.com ad at the beginning of my thing. Hey, guys, because I know people are skipping over it.
We just did one.
Yeah, we just did a Stamps.com. Right. Can you guys send me $1,600? Stamps.com. They're like, use the promo code.
But we know what you make. You know, you told me.
I think you'll find people are tolerant of that.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. I would rather. This is what I would rather do. I would rather make that money in T-shirt sales and book sales. I'd rather them.
It's your own deal, right?
Yeah, and just go, guys. If
Plus,
you like
we know
me,
you make
support me.
You told me what you make a show. Your Trip Flip show.
Yeah.
And you also told me.
Did I really?
Yeah, you did. You did. I forget when it was. Last time we were in the studio.
I just signed a new contract.
You did.
Yeah,
well, I know. You made more than. Yes. I don't think you need the fucking $1,600 from.
People get so creeped out when I talk about money.
I don't.
Me, Ari Shafir, and Steve Bernazizi were on a pod. You know Steve Bernazizi?
I know the names.
He's on the show, The League.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what we made an episode, and we were just doing this
on the podcast.
On the podcast, and but to us, we weren't sharing it with everyone. Right. To us, we were, and people were like through the fucking roof. I find that so fascinating because I know for a fact I have a hard time making my nut every month, and I have a very small nut. That sounds creepy. Do you realize
both of them?
How big's the other one?
Right
both
now, everyone that's listening to my podcast is saying, A, get a studio, B, get 2 radio guys to run it for you. This is one of the best podcasts I've ever fucking done.
You're nuts. You're nuts. Well, you live in L.A. It's a hell of a lot more expensive to live here. And obviously, and I know you kids go to private school, you mentioned, I think, right?
No.
Oh, they don't? Okay. They go to school with a bunch of public. Yeah, no, you told me they go to school. But it must be a nice school district because they go to school. You told us some other parents that were famous have their kids there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's obviously a nice school district.
No, since we're based in the hardy Midwest, people are holier than thou sometimes. I'm very curious about this sort of stuff. I'm probably more guilty of it than Tyler, but I will quiz people about, what'd you make for that commercial?
Yeah.
Stop asking people what they made. Well, I want to know.
Dimitri Martin.
I want to know that Sean Gannett got $25 for $25,000 for being a clown on TurboTax.
Yep.
And that could run, but that'll run forever. But good for him. He needs 25 grand.
Dimitri Martin, when we first got into stand-up, Dimitri was a very famous comedian. He pulled me aside. I remember he was like, commercials.
Right.
Jim Gaffigan got $125,000 for that Sprite or whatever commercial he did. And I was like, really? He's like, Judah Friedlander got $75 grand for that Snickers commercial.
Right.
And I remember going, commercials. Then I did a Life cereal commercial. I got fucking shit. I got nothing.
What'd you
and
get?
I was a bad actor, and I hated myself afterwards. And I remember playing I remember the chick in it was pregnant, and she was like, I just booked it because I was pregnant. They needed a pregnant chick. And I was like, it was so fucking bad. It was such
the thing about money is, you see, you don't have to work with anybody else. You really don't. Whatever. Who cares what the other comedians think you may? You give a shit? I mean, you talk to your other. I mean, we work for a corporation, so there's no way in hell I'm going to tell anybody what I make.
Yeah.
Todd knows what I make. We're doing the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
Did you guys agree to that? Like,
yeah. And so we work with a lot of people and a lot of coworkers, and it's nobody's business. And would you want to know if you worked in, what you do is totally different though. We would piss people off, or just it's no reason to bring that crap up with us, at least,
We were.
No, we have no benefit.
No benefit whatsoever.
Throwing that around.
It's one of those things.
And we have a staff doesn't make what we make, and so it's tough,
Yeah,
and we don't control their salaries either. We wish we did. They get more,
Yeah, I would be that guy. I would probably.
It's true, you would.
Yeah.
Colleen laughed.
It's true.
I don't sign their paychecks.
I would. Yeah, I'm very open. Like Ari Shaffir and I are very honest, and this is probably behooves. I think this behooves comics.
Right.
Like the guys I'm working with this week, I tell them what they should expect, based on what numbers they draw,
right.
and based on I've always been that way with other comics because you don't know. You get your first round of offers at the Improvs, and my first round of offers were $1,350. And I got 13 offers, and I was through the fucking roof.
Well, you know what? I've seen Colleen's list once in a while. She'll show me a list of the famous people. I'm not sure. The famous people with names. I haven't seen yours, none of my business, but I've seen that list before, and I think people would be surprised that people aren't getting rich doing clubs. Some people make really good money doing clubs, obviously, once they get to their point. But I've seen that list, and I feel bad for the guy that just gets on stage that's a Midland or an MC, and the guy in the crowd thinks he's getting $1,000. I know he's not.
I'm not. I don't
feel bad for that. I don't feel bad. I just feel bad that people think he has that kind of money.
I don't feel bad for that guy. I'll tell you who I feel bad for.
Okay.
This is my. Now this is going to be real. This is real comedy gossip. But I'm saying this genuinely from a kind heart and an open heart. I not feel bad.
Right.
But I feel the injustice is done to someone like, and I'll use two names.
Okay.
John Morgan.
Perfect. Oh, he's unbelievable. Great friend.
John Morgan and
he's unbelievable on stage.
And someone like Rob Little.
Yeah.
Because they put on fucking amazing
shows, right.
Amazing shows. You go there and here's the thing, and that's a
great show. I could have picked two better guys out.
And I know I can ballpark what they make, and I can tell you what people that are famous that maybe don't have
the act
at all. Like, trust me when I tell you, and I don't know John Morgan at all. I know is
we know John really well.
All I know is that everyone that has ever had him at their club, he's their favorite comic.
Yeah.
And I've another name. Chad Daniels.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I just it's funny because Colleen's bringing Chad back, and I went to see Chad last time he was in town, and like I said, I know
was he partying?
He was fucking funny. God, is he fucking funny?
Yeah, and so
I'm
these
jaded,
guys,
and
these guys are guys that will fucking murder.
Right.
They'll murder as hard as my best friends, Ari, Joey, Duncan, Joe, all my Tom Segura. These guys will murder, and sometimes even harder because this is what they do.
And their name doesn't pay as much, right?
And their name doesn't.
Can you explain why?
Yeah,
because it's.
Well,
and I think quite candidly, I think that, and I know at some point someone's hit them up and said you should hear Bert and Todd-N-Tyler talking about you.
Right.
So and guys, I'm just being very candid. And
they're all great guys, and we love those guys.
But I think the fact that they chose not to move to L.A. kind of hinders them.
Okay,
L.A. or New York because the only reason my rate raises at all is because I am on TV.
Right.
I do have book deals. I do have a documentary. Like I am kind of in that game.
Right.
Now, what I resent in all of that is that they have beautiful lives
right.
in a regular town.
Yes,
where it's and I love my life.
It's a trade-off for them.
Yeah, but I definitely.
See, but John's going to hear this. He's going to go around. He's going to start asking for a bunch more money.
He should.
Yeah,
Boom, and he's done. He's going to fuck himself as a result of us buttering him up here.
His wife hit the lottery, and they're fine.
They're fine.
They're fine. No. From what I hear about John Morgan, he is the dream life. He gets to do this for fun.
Yeah.
We talked. I think we met him shortly after he hit the lottery.
Yeah,
really.
That was quite some time ago. So that money's running out soon.
John Morgan is someone.
We don't fucking know.
I'd be interested to have him on my podcast. But he's and Chad Daniels and
Chad is hilarious.
There's a lot of guys out there on the road that are amazing shows. However, the clubs cannot justify in their bottom line to give them what I know the clubs believe they're worth. However, you bring in someone, and I'm going to use this guy as an example, and he is a good stand-up, and he started as a stand-up. Don't think he's a movie star, and then he became a stand-up.
Right.
And I heard him on Mark Maron's podcast, and he was fucking funny as shit. However, Rob Schneider maybe doesn't, and I'll say this, doesn't have the passion for stand-up that maybe John Morgan and Chad Daniels has.
Of course he doesn't, no, yeah.
And he doesn't need to. He's Rob Schneider.
Right.
He's the reason when my daughters are playing softball, I go, you can do it. Like he has earned where he's at. Kevin Nealon. Like, these guys are great stand-ups.
They've both been in the studio with us. And the Rob Schneider thing is funny because when I saw Rob, I expected him. I knew he was out and he had a name, and he told us he did very little stand-up before he became huge.
Yeah, but he was on one of the Young Comedian specials.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect much. I thought he was just going to go out as Rob Schneider, and obviously, as who he is. But I was real surprised he was funny as what he was on stage. I think he had some good material. But I know what you mean, though. He didn't need. I don't think the passion was there like some of the other guys.
He's not. I'll tell you what.
On stage, he was great.
He would. I mean, everyone would trade a movie for stand-up weekend, but those guys. Are earners. They go out and they fucking grind.
Yeah.
And you see them live, and I say this to everyone listening. Obviously, anyone listening to this in Omaha already knows how funny these guys are because they've been through here.
Yeah.
However, if you see them in your city, these are guys that the second they hit the stage, it's a fucking show.
Right.
I try to keep that in my stuff, but I do have a little bit of the Hollywood part where I understand that I've got to keep turning out new material. I've got to keep it fresh. These guys that will fucking murder and turn out new material. I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
Josh Sneed, another guy. Yeah. They go up and they fucking... You get done and you say, that was the best show I've ever fucking seen. Mm-hmm. The problem is they're not on TV, so you don't remember it. That's the weird...
Yeah,
you know,
I can see that.
People come up to me and they're like, Bert the Conqueror. Bert the Conqueror hadn't been on in fucking 3 years.
Right.
But people go, Bert the Conqueror, I love that show. Because they saw it, and then there's another... It's like two connections. It's Billy Gardell told me. Billy Gardell was another one of those road dogs. Mm-hmm. I think that's the name of his
special. That's the name of the show.
Yeah. Uncle Lair, by the way. Bring up Uncle Lair again. Uncle Lair's one of our favorites.
Right, Uncle Lair.
He was on Road Dogs.
Someone brought him up last night.
Uncle Lair is amazing.
Yeah, someone brought him up
favorites
last
of all time.
fucking night.
Right.
But there aren't enough comedians doing what Billy Gardell is doing.
Helping other guys out.
He's helping a bunch of other guys out, much like Rodney did back in the day. I mean, Comedy Central, I don't know how they pick and choose their people, but, Billy Gardell hand selects these people, and I think he's doing and he pricks the right ones.
Now, when comics come through?
Colleen, by the way, brings all these great people. That's how we met all these guys over the 20 years.
Colleen's the reason that other clubs hate Omaha.
Yeah.
Because
she treats people with respect.
Lewis Black does guest sets there? The fuck are you talking about? Larry the Cable guy shows up for a Wednesday night open mic?
Yeah.
The fuck? And you're selling tons of tickets? What the fuck? It's because Colleen makes it so that, like yesterday, she gave me a massage. She got me a massage.
Right.
Yeah, I got a massage. I'll never stop coming here.
Gave you one?
No, not. Let me rephrase that.
Even the big nut?
Yeah.
You got a small one. I heard that.
My energy is so up for this podcast. I can't even tell you.
I need a story, but you mentioned money real quickly. I won't mention it.
I love it. Go back to money.
No, because Cable Guy was a good friend of ours before he became famous.
Let's ballpark it.
No, I'm not talking about this whole. I'm talking about one show. So we're backstage at a theater with him in Lincoln about a year or so ago, and somebody. How'd we find out the exact amount? How'd we know that? Somebody told us the exact amount he was probably making on that particular show.
Yeah.
And Reno was
drunk. It might have been Reno.
Reno Collier, by the way, sidebar. Reno Collier and I did a fucking, what's the thing where you go up? A showcase for ICM. We were at the same agency. We had the exact same agent. We did a showcase one night for all the networks. This is back when network deals were a big deal.
Right.
And we went up, and I went up third. I went up in the shit dick spot because someone didn't want to go up after Earthquake. And so I went up after Earthquake, and I did well because I love following black dudes.
Right, yeah.
So I got nothing they got.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Is there a corresponding number to the shit dick spot?
Third,
okay.
Third usually. Anywhere in the front of the lineup. You want 6.
Right.
If you're doing a 10-person, you don't want 10 because everyone's fucking gone.
Yeah, right.
You want 6 or 5, depending on you. I'm telling you, this is so shitty. Comics look at that lineup, and they go, yeah, I got a good spot. Or if someone's like, hey, who wants to switch with me? I got to get out of here. I got an earlier set. So I go up third. I get a good spot, and I destroy. I think Reno, if he remembers the night, will testify. Yeah. I destroyed so hard that people left the room to follow me to come give me deals.
Got it.
And my manager, Barry Katz at the time, grabbed me, walked me out of a alley out of the Laugh Factory, and he said, get in a car and leave. Don't talk to a fucking person. And it was one of those dream sets. Kathy Griffin gave me a hug as I walked off stage. She goes, that was a dream fucking set. Your life's going to change forever. And so I did it. Reno Collier and I were friends at the time. We'd hang out. We were with the same agency. I remember like 3 months later, 4 months later, maybe a little later, he said to me, he was like, hey, man, it's good seeing you. I'm taking off. And I said, oh, see you later. And he goes, no, I'm taking off to Atlanta. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm going to move to Atlanta and do stand-up there. I remember saying, good luck. Yeah. Like, I'll never hear your name again. Reno makes so much more money than I do. He's got the life. He literally does. If I could flip-flop, live in Atlanta, and fucking tour with Cable Guy, I'd fucking, in a heartbeat. In a fucking heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah. So Call would know. Does Larry take care of his opening acts?
Yeah, he's been Reno for a long time. Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. That's the big thing. Yeah. And I don't... Like, I'll give Jeff Tate $200 this weekend. That's all I fucking make. Like, and I'll buy him dinner. I bought him breakfast yesterday. We're good.
That could cost $200.
Yeah. I tipped out his bartender for him last night. We're good. But like Cable Guy.
So we're backstage, and we're sitting at the meet and greet with him, and we're talking to him. We go, hey, somebody told us. I'm going to throw ballpark numbers out just so that the story works. So I said, somebody said you're getting $65,000 tonight. And he goes, really? Where'd you hear that? I go, somebody, shit. So we're sitting there, and so the lady comes around from backstage and says, you're on, Larry. And on the way out, he goes, 75. And he goes right out. And I go, you fucker, man.
I thought it was bigger than that.
It might have been. I was ballparking numbers.
I thought it was more like
but he told us the exact number.
160. Does that sound more like it, Colleen?
Yeah, that was it. I'm sorry.
160.
You were trying to be polite.
I was trying to throw a ballpark. Right. I want Larry hearing about it. Fuck, I made more than my... But it's
I'm trying to be polite, then ask him how much money he makes.
And then he walked out. Well, because we knew when he was poor. So when he walked out, that's right, he turned around and said, blah, blah, blah. We put another 10 or 20 grand on it and walked out the door. Right, it was fucking great because he couldn't tell anybody else that, and we just loved it.
Hey, Todd-N-Tyler. Yeah, 160.
Yeah. That was it.
That's what it was.
I was ballparking it. I just wanted to throw a number.
That was very sweet.
Yeah, very right. Yeah, I dropped it a little bit there.
I went and saw the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Yeah. I was saying I've told this, and by the way,
we knew Ingvald before he was big too. You know, he used to come through town. Colleen brought him back in the mid '90s when Ingvald was. Ingvald had done a bunch of TV, but before he hit on the blue collar stuff.
Ron White was a friend of ours.
Oh, Ron White was
long before that. Foxworthy was the only guy that didn't come around to the clubs.
Right.
He was
Ron White.
Too big.
Yeah, Ron.
I hear stories about him.
True.
In Columbus, they were like, he used to. And this, by the way, I have a affinity for the. I'm a romantic, so like I like the little bit of a hot mess in a person.
Right,
I like the brokenness that creates the beautiful artist. So like, and I romanticize about that. I remember in Columbus, they were like, I rolled into the club and the bartenders were like, "Whoa, I expected to see you here around 3:00." I said, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, you're kind of like Ron White." I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Ron White used to come in high top tennis shoes untied, shorts, and like a trench coat and start drinking at 3 p.m. and drink up until the show and then not leave and just do his show in high top tennis shoes, shorts, and a trench coat." And I'm like, what a fucking night. Like I would literally pay $1,000 for that ticket. Yeah. Just let him relive it. Just go back. One time someone
I saw Ron White at Colleen's Club, the Funny Bone, do the same joke twice in a row, not knowing it.
I've done that before.
I'm sure you have.
I've definitely done that before.
Was that the night you
not
had
with
to
the
go...
machine story, but
not the machine story. You did it twice.
I recall Colleen having to go wake Ron up.
Yeah.
Really?
He was supposed to be at the club.
Really?
Yeah.
I got stories.
Oh, give me a good Ron White story.
Oh, come on. Tell him
that one. Tell him that one.
Is that mic working?
Hey, Colleen, you think? Yeah. Go.
Tell him this one. Yeah, when he's digging around.
It's mid-'90s, and Ron is staying at a Residence Inn here in Omaha. And I had my kid call to say, hey, the doorman's coming to pick you up. And she said, I think I just woke him up. And I went, rats. All right. So I go over there, and I remember running up the stairs of this Residence Inn, opening the door. Here is Ron, tater salad white, in the middle of this disaster area of a hotel room. He is bending over, picking up shirts and sniffing them to figure out which shirt to put on. The coffee table is full of roaches, pipes, bowls. There are chicken wings all over the place. He is standing there in his underwear smelling a shirt, and he looks at me and he goes, hey, Kyle, do we have time to fuck?
That is the consummate comedian.
That is.
Yeah.
That is the
Right.
When I saw him, I said this on stage last night because I said.
By the way,
something.
they did have time to fuck.
Yeah. Hey, Carl, do we have time to fuck? My wife brought me to the Blue Collar Comedy when that movie. My wife's. I said this joke on stage last night. There's a bit, but I said my wife's Southern, like very Southern.
Right.
Like when she speaks, her accent's so thick you can smell biscuits.
Got it.
I thought it worked. And so I got some great new material out of this weekend, by the way.
That's a good
So she, in earnest, I said this last night. In earnest, she says, "Get her done." Like not even like there's no comedy to it. That's how she speaks.
Right.
That's how her family speaks. They're that big of fans. And she, when my daughters are doing homework, guys, homework, get her done. And that is. My daughters say that word. They don't know where it's come from.
Right.
So the opening night of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the movie comes out on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's like, I know what we're doing. We're dating at the time. I'm a comedian, by the way.
Right.
I'm a L.A., New York comedian.
Yeah.
She goes, we're going to see the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. I go, I'm not a huge fan of Foxworthy's, so I'm not sure I'm going to dig it. She was like, but you need to support what I'm interested in. And I was like, yeah, but
you're a fucking
comedian. Like, I don't want to go see a comedy movie.
Right.
I wouldn't have seen the Kings of Comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see the Blue Collar Comedy because what I have imagined it to be in my head.
Right.
So we go. My wife brings a couple beers in her purse to sway my judgment. Yeah. We sit through, and I want to say the first one was Larry.
Yeah, it was Larry, the first one.
Larry,
Yeah.
and I fucking and in my head I remember because I grew up in Florida.
Right.
I remembered
He was there?
him calling in. I want to say he called in to Ron and Ron and so I was like, oh, okay, and I'm laughing. I remember his one joke that I laughed at was, and it's not like a brilliant joke, but it was like we're traveling at the speed of a fart.
Right.
And I remember going, oh, I fucking like that joke.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Was he Cable Guy or Dan
Cable
Whitney at the time?
No, he's Cable Guy.
He was Cable Guy. Yeah.
It was Blue Collar. Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean when you heard him on the radio.
I knew who Larry the Cable Guy also was because he had the picture with the cables around his neck.
Yes.
Right.
Comics, when they're young, go to clubs and look at all the headshots, dreaming two things. One, they'll have a headshot that's up there, and one that they'll have a headshot that is as memorable as the ones they remember. Right. Hamburger Jones. I remember him. He was in a cowboy hat. Hamburger. Louis C.K.'s first headshot was a mugshot with it written in type print, Louis C.K. Dave Chappelle's was him with a coat over his face. Larry the Cable Guy, he had a wound of cable around his neck.
Right.
I remember seeing that.
And never discussed installing cable or any aspect of it ever in his act.
Yeah.
Not a word, not a mention.
You have to believe there was one guy that tried to work up the DirecTV angle.
Yeah.
One guy that's like, what? I'm the DirecTV. DVR it. So
Larry the DirecTV guy.
get it DVR'd. So we watch that. I laugh, and then it starts cutting in and out of them fucking around, and I'm like, oh great. I watch Bill Engvall. I think's funny. I'm not.
It's not your style. You don't. Yeah. No,
It's not. You know what? Here's my thing: is I'm very open and honest on stage, and so either I'm watching you write jokes. But if you talk about your life, I want to hear the dirty shit.
Right.
Like, I want to hear the fucking shit that no one's talking about. Like, that makes you uncomfortable. Like, I tell stories on stage that sometimes I go, this is really inappropriate. Like, and I know that I'm losing people, but you know what? You got to break eggs to make omelets.
No. We talk way too much about our personal lives, but just because it's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what we do, you know.
So they do the show. Mm-hmm. I liked the whole thing. I'm a little bit buzzed. Mm-hmm. And Ron White comes on with the fucking tater salad story.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what I say, it really changed my life. I watched that story and I sat back and I went, that is where I should be. Like, and I remember thinking, I've got good stories. I had the Tracy Morgan story.
Right.
I got the fucking machine story. I got a handful of fighting a bear, and I'm like, that's where I need to be.
I haven't heard that machine story. Tell that later.
So you count him as an influence?
Hardcore influence
Okay.
to the point where
I think you're both great storytellers.
Where I go, I remember one time I was in Atlanta and someone was like, "Hey, we're going to Ron White's house to smoke pot," and I was like, how do I get in on this? Like, how do I get in on this? And I'm not even a big pot smoker, but I'm like, I'll fucking have an anxiety attack to sit next to the man. But yeah, like I remember watching that. I left and my wife was like, "That was a great." She didn't understand the importance of that story.
Okay, got it.
How it's
Yeah.
perfectly
It's
crafted. The thing
perfectly
about a
crafted
storyteller
story.
is I don't need to know that I disassociate. I don't need to know that story is 100% accurate.
Right.
All I need to know is that you told it right.
Right.
That you told it the way a story should be told. You withheld information when it needed to be withheld. You released information at the right time, and you ended it. You closed it. They call me Ron Tater Salad White. So you got the.
Is that how you crafted the machine then?
No. Well, yeah. If you know what, and I say this, if you listen to the first time I told it was on Loveline, you can find that online. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to, it's on DBE in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
With Randy and Bill.
Yep.
And then you listen to me tell it on Rogan. It's clear I've told it a few times, and it's crafted. Now, if you hear me tell it on stage, you're like, okay. Some girl said, I really like the way you've worked that into a bit. So, because now it's a lot tighter. You
told it great on Todd-N-Tyler, by the way.
But, if I told it, but on your show, it was still in the beginning stages.
Okay.
I just told it on Rogan.
Yeah, okay.
And it was
that's
still,
right. That's what we heard about. Rogan's story.
It was still in the beginning stages, but I do believe that my only goal is to entertain. Mm-hmm. My only fucking goal. I have that story is, and I say this in 100% true. 100, as is all my stories. However, I'm not married to the truth in the way that maybe a lawyer would be.
Right.
Like I'm married to the truth in as much as it entertains you.
Right.
Like I noticed last night I was drunk on stage, and
no way.
No, get out of here.
You've been known to embellish.
I'll take. I will take.
You should.
Yeah. I'll take.
By the way, have you thanked your wife properly for dragging you to the blue collar comedy the movie? You should.
I never have.
You should.
I never
have.
He
pays your bills, right?
Yeah. I literally, I never have.
Knocked her up?
I knocked her up before I got her. That's how that works. They can say no to a ring. They can't say no to a baby. So I fucking might fly back to Omaha once a month to do a fucking podcast. I am telling you, my number's going to be through the fucking roof. No payoff. Stamps.com. Where the fuck are you?
How do people find the podcast? Well, if you're telling the podcast, they'll find. How do we find your podcast? How do I listen to this?
Bert. Well, they've already listened. There's no point in me telling. I'll tell you for real.
Tell me for real.
Just go to Bertcast.
How do I find it? Yeah.
Go to Bertcast.
Do you want me to tell the folks about this?
Yeah.
Is that book?
This is back in the days of reading liner cards.
That's the book?
I'll read the first part.
All
You
right.
read the second part. From his fraternity days at Florida State University and his rise as a stand-up, from marriage to fatherhood, Bert Kreischer recounts a path that may not lead you to maturity, but you'll understand why he's the life of the party. That's the name of the book. Read the Marin quote.
Do you have an editor?
Plugging
Do you have an
somewhere.
editor?
Yeah, I had an editor.
Okay, I was going to say, because I had to.
It sounds better than you plugging it. You plugging it sounds kind of shameless.
Bert Kreischer.
We're into it.
We're drinking Bloody Mary, so I'm getting a little blurry here.
Can I have your pickle?
If I had $1.
Yeah.
Eat my pickle. Sure. I took a bite out of it. Give him a fresh pickle. Bert Kreischer is one of the great American wild men. His stories track the trials and tribulations of big-hearted dude trying to fit in, help out, party, and find himself. After all is said and done, we arrive with him at the true humility of joy. Mark Maron. All
You
right.
sold it.
I did.
Yeah,
I just read it there for the first time, man. Life of the Party. Was that in Barnes & Noble?
Hopefully.
Pre-order it, damn it.
Mark Maron, I asked him to write a blurb for the book, and he said, sure, give me a copy. And I literally went, are you going to read it?
Right.
He was like, well, yeah, how am I going to write a blurb for it? And I went, wait, I don't know if I'm comfortable with you reading my book. And he goes, why? I go, because what if you don't like it? And he goes, well, let me read it, and I'll tell you. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I gave him the book. And I was like,
well, he's not going to write a bad review, but if he would say, would he be afraid of? I always wonder about that too. Are people afraid of that write forwards in friends' books? Are they afraid they don't like the book and then they don't want to be sucked into the bad book?
Yeah, they're not going to write a blurb for a book they don't like.
Has anyone
what happened to you? They just
anybody turns you down for a blurb?
No. I mean,
okay.
no. I think I've got
find guys that like you. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to people that are fans.
Right.
The Mick Foley. The professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Now. Mick Foley.
He's a stand-up?
Yeah, he does stand-up. And is
he good?
Really good.
Okay.
And he's a great storyteller. Mm-hmm. His books, he does stand-up like he writes his books. So it is He's smart as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he said
I heard
to me,
he's real smart. Yeah.
He is smart as fuck. And he said to me, he goes, he did my podcast, and I said, you're a national number one bestseller in America. I'd love if you could write a blurb for my book. He goes, of course, no problems. Give me the book. And I went, God damn it, you're going to read it too? And he was like, oh, yeah. I sent him the book. He reads it in a day. Just thumb through it. Texts me that he likes the book. Texts me and goes, I fucking love the book. Bert, you did a great job. You did. And he tells me, basically, he was going to blurb about, and then wrote a blurb. It's somewhere. I don't know where it is. I think it's on the. But yeah. So wait. How long is this podcast?
I don't know. It's up to you, buddy.
Because I will go forever, but I do not want to hold you guys here.
Okay,
it is
man.
Sunday.
You let us know.
How long should go for 3-4 hours?
No, we're not.
Okay, but because I could do this all day. This is what. It's so funny.
TNTRadioEmpire.com for all the people outside the Bert Kreischer.
Can they listen to you online?
Yeah. We have a free app, too. Just search Todd-N-Tyler, get a free app on your smartphone.
Here's what you do.
Podcasts are on there.
This is how
cartoons,
I do. This is how I do radio. I have the iHeart Radio app.
Yep.
And I follow all my radio guys on Twitter. So based on like who you have coming in this morning, or if there's a hot subject in the news,
got it.
Like the gay not the gay bachelor, but the bachelor.
Who bashed the gays, right? Yeah.
So like I will go in and I will tap into each of my people, and hear their iHeartRadio. I do it in the shower sometimes, and it's fucking amazing. So get the iHeartRadio app or go to their website. You can.
We have our own app too. We have our own app. Just
you do. What's your own app?
Just our own app. Just search Todd-N-Tyler.
Todd, the letter N, Tyler.
It's just our app.
Yeah.
Just Todd-N-Tyler app. It's got podcasts, live streaming, cartoons. Our producer puts together for us. I mean, our web guy, and everything's on there.
Right. You can access the email, the Facebook, all that.
Yeah.
And if you are the way I know that most podcast people are, they're guest driven. So if you are a guest driven follower and you enjoy listening to the guest that's on, they will tweet. The week of they tweet who's going to be on the show.
What's our tweet?
At
TNT Radio Empire.
And you can hear literally what they do is what people that podcast do, but 100 times better.
That's
the reason
very nice,
people
Bert.
started podcasts is because they came on, enjoyed your show, and then they went, this is what we all did. Oh, we could do that.
That's what I thought.
How many times you podcast a week, Bert? You're a busy man. You're on stage.
I have a bunch backlogged. Yeah. Poor fucking Kyle Cease. Kyle Cease is never going to get posted. He's like texting me today. He goes, I just added Mariana something to my live event. Can you put that in the podcast? I was like, no, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to post you guys tonight.
Excellent.
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay,
this podcast. I still have a half a drink. I'm going to post you guys tonight, and it'll air tomorrow morning, Monday morning. This is what I like doing. I'll post it at like 9 or whatever midnight is East Coast time,
right?
Because the numbers spike for the day.
Yeah. Midnight East Coast time is midnight.
God damn it! Now I'm drunk. Now I'm drunk. I have one show tonight.
You only have one show. That's right.
Put a bunch of bleeps in, and we can air this when we go on vacation.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Some live material.
Some of it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the book's been on sale for months, if you're hearing this on the radio.
Could you do
without the fucks?
Could you do bleeps?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's used to it.
He's the master of bleeps.
Do you realize what a bleep nightmare this would be?
Oh, it's gonna. It's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a lot of editing. I tried to edit it. I talked to Moshe Kasher, very funny comedian. I talked to Moshe, and we were talking about the TV show with Lena Dunham. Do you know what the TV show is?
Girls.
Yeah.
I called it Fat Girls.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
we thank Mr. Skin all the time for not putting her photos up there. Mr. Skin's great, isn't he?
I'm actually attracted to girls like Lena Dunham right now. My wife's got 2 kids. I'm into that shit. Little tattoo. That's a suicide girl with a baby.
I'll give her this. All right? If girls like Lena Dunham continue to get naked on TV, then the girls like her and girls more attractive than her will continue to get naked on TV.
I'm all about that shit.
Yeah, but the little girl from Uncle Buck is on that now, and she's got a big wolf puss.
The more Lena Dunham gets naked.
Hold on 1 second. Stop right now.
Yes.
Who is the girl from Uncle Buck, and who is she?
She's this crazy sister. I don't watch the show, but I know she's a crazy sister.
Fucker.
Was it Uncle Buck? Am I right with that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. She's got a big hairy pussy in Girls.
Hold on. Who the fuck is a girl?
So you'll never see Uncle Buck again.
Is my favorite movie ever.
Well, you'll freak you out now. The little girl grew up and has a big.
Do you have a photo of her? This is why I need a producer. Do you realize how great this would be? I
I could do, guys. We should
Uncle
do.
Buck's
we should
your
start a
favorite movie of all
podcast.
time.
Uncle Buck, I love that movie so fucking much. I made my kids watch it, and they quote it. My daughter says nuts all the time.
Perfect.
Oh, nuts.
It's a great movie. It is a great movie.
It really is one of the greatest movies. You look at that guy, and you're like, oh, I can't believe he died.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
Has Brian Williams' daughter gotten naked yet?
I don't think so.
She needs to.
Yeah. She's in that.
MSNBC?
No, on Girls.
Yeah, it's Brian Williams, NBC. Excuse me.
NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on NBC now?
The NBC nightly
Nightly
news
news.
anchor,
Are you
Brian
guys
Williams.
Are you guys watching the Olympics?
No.
No.
I'm not really into winter sports, so I could give a shit.
Well, after 3 hours of projectile vomiting, I fell asleep yesterday.
Oh, you're really that sick?
I turned it on, and I think I saw some guy going down, the hill in a luge.
Luge.
And I said, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah, not watching it.
I'm watching Bodie Miller. He's on the
He is amazing.
Alpine.
He's amazing, man.
And I watch that really hot chick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's hot, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
How much time have we done for a podcast just ahead?
We're at an hour 10.
Hour
okay.
10. Oh, shit. Okay.
All right.
That's good.
Let's try to round this out towards the end. We'll finish our drinks and we'll.
All right.
What subject, knowing how to run radio, what subject have I not asked that I should have asked? Like what have I not tapped on that you would ask any guy that's been doing radio 20 plus years?
Oh, man, it's our daily gig, and we've been doing it
Yeah,
for so long.
You didn't ask us any of the
Yeah.
ones we're tired of answering.
Yeah. I know, you're right.
So thank you for that.
No, I know, you're right. There she is. There's Uncle Buck's wolf puss.
Oh, there it is.
That's the little girl?
Yeah.
God, her hair looks just as messy as when she messed it up.
What, the stuff on her head, you mean?
No, both. That's her.
Both.
Really? That is old school.
Yeah.
Do you think she had any insight, or do you think she just rocked that to producers and they were like, yeah, that works for the character?
Apparently she rocked it for the producers.
Are we looking at Mr. Skin here?
Yeah, that's Mr. Skin. Love Mr. Skin.
Very nice.
Holy
regular
cow.
visitor on the show. Stuff you ask about, I don't know. You asked some good questions earlier in the podcast about, if people give us any shit, our bosses, or who we like, who we don't like. But we just try to have fun. And
How many hours of radio straight is your show?
we're live for 4.5 hours.
But how
The show's 5 hours.
But if you cut out all the ads, what do you guys do?
We have
3.5. Probably 3.5.
total.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do 22-minute segments.
We do a 40
7-minute break, 22-minute segments, approximately.
Yeah.
Really?
So 40 to 44 minutes an hour.
Yeah. So
Well,
we'll
really?
We'll only take
43 minutes an hour.
2 long breaks an hour.
So you show up to work, and I think this is interesting to anyone that listens to radio.
Right.
You guys show up to work, you come in, you have a coffee, you have offices, I'm sure.
But we don't. Our news guy Craig sits in the office. We both Todd and I sit in the studio when we get here because we have computers right there and everything right there. So
Okay.
We'll show up. There's a thing called an appetizer. Runs between 5 and 5:30 Central Time, and that's the best stuff from the day before or something that week. And then we start live at 5:30. We start talking. We don't talk much before that though, because we don't like to. If we have some story we want to bring up, we don't ever really bring it up that much.
So what is the hour at which the great subjects get brought up?
You know what? That's the thing. We don't know because
Some days we go all day without bringing up a great subject. Some days it's great, one great subject after another.
some days it's early, sometimes it's late. I mean, I know people.
So you're not never
no.
it's 6 in the morning, save it.
Oh, we've saved some. Yeah, we'll save different stories for our news guy to bring up for later or earlier, depending on how we feel and what we got going on. But people will be surprised, at least our show, that it's how unstructured it is.
Really?
I mean, it is just blah, 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 blah. That's the only thing that's ever worked for us because we don't write comic bits. We just do our shit. It's off the cuff.
And when we've done that, it just sounds rehearsed.
And we make fun of it, and the crowd will love that, yeah.
It sounds like we've just written out a bit, and we're trying to execute it.
But very rarely, we never do it, though.
We don't.
We really don't even do it, though.
No, were you guys on air at 9/11?
Yeah,
Yes.
that day, that morning.
Really?
We had a TV in the studio when it hit. We were just talking about some bullshit. I don't know what it was exactly, but we thought the original plane was, of course, an accident.
Our newsman was doing a very compelling story about Rosie O'Donnell.
Believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Rosie O'Donnell? Poor Rosie O'Donnell dodged the bullet on that one.
Yeah, right. So then all of a sudden, it hit that, and it was just like, whoa. And then we went live, just the nation, So it was kind of weird, That's a long time ago, but God, it was weird.
Doesn't it seem like a long time ago? But it in a weird way, I still feel like 9/11's right around the corner. Like I go, oh,
well, my kids are born after that, so that's why it feels weird for me. But you're right.
Me too.
For all of us, as a grown man in 2001, whatever. So yeah, it seems like it was yesterday for a lot
I
of
remember it was a Tuesday. That was Dad's visitation day, so I had to go pick the kids up from school.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. and they were 8 and 9 at the time, and I was,
no, that's fine.
I was a little more freaked out than they were.
Really? Did you explain to them?
I did, but they didn't really seem to give a shit.
Really?
Yeah.
So wait, I remember my wife. I said, "Do you remember where you were in 9/11?" She was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "I remember. My dad's office called me like over and over and over again, and then I answered the phone." I called back, and
you kept calling because you thought you were traveling somewhere?
No, yeah.
Okay.
And so I called back, and my dad's secretary answered the phone.
That's a shitty trip flip.
Guys,
too soon? Come on.
We're going from Boston to...
Guess what? There's no planes in the air.
Not that. Boston to L.A. with Bert the Conqueror.
I remember calling my dad's office, and his secretary answered, and I was like, hello? I go, hey, it's Bert. My dad's been calling. And she goes, oh, my God, you haven't heard? And I went, no. And she goes, hold on. And I remember thinking, this bitch
Where the hell were
me,
you?
I was in L.A.
I know, but you didn't turn the TV on or nothing?
I was asleep.
Oh, it was middle of the morning for you guys.
It was 5:30 in the morning.
I remember thinking, if this bitch tells me my dad's dead, and that's how I find out, I'm going to be so fucking pissed. I want my mom to tell me or my sisters.
Right.
But then my dad told me. But my wife goes, oh, I remember exactly where I was. We got up and we started watching the TV. I went, we? She was like, oh, I was with a guy.
Oh,
I was like,
bitch. She's always going to remember that.
Fuck you.
You should make up a girl for you now.
So wait, how, like...
A hooker. You were with a hooker.
Yeah. Your hours...
Oh, that's right. Air Force One flew right over our station, actually, that day. Because Bush came to...
Bush went from Florida, where he was finishing My Pet Goat.
Yep.
Yeah. And then...
to Louisiana.
To Louisiana. And then up to... off at Air Force Base in Bellevue.
And the old building of our station, which is right near where we're at right now, we had a blood drive going on right there outside that afternoon, and there was no planes in the air except Air Force One flew right over our radio station. I'll never forget that.
He had two flanker jets with him,
really?
too.
And off it was real low, so the plane was real low. It just flew right over top.
It was low?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
It was landing.
It was coming here. It was going in for a landing.
They flew it 50 feet the whole way?
Crop dusted 2 hours.
By the way, I bet people pay extra for a flight that flew at 100 feet in a fucking 747 just all across America.
You could feel the speed, Dad. Yeah.
So your hours are, and I always say this because I know Jim Norton's a friend of mine, and Jim does.
He's with he does Opie and Anthony.
Opie and Anthony, and he does. But his
is he with him all the time? Is he with them every morning?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. My Sirius subscription sucks dick.
Okay.
Like they fucking put it in the car that I no longer lease.
Got it.
Whoever has that fucking car has free Sirius because I'm paying for it. So and then they finally got figured out. I was like, fuck you guys, I'm done.
Yeah.
So and I'm never home to listen to fucking radio.
Right.
So but Jim's hours are insane.
Right.
What?
Well, he's a traveling comedian though too, right?
Yeah, but he also does stand up at night. But what is logistically an average day? Kids, family, hours, sleep. What's it look like for a regular dude who does straight up radio?
Todd's different now. His kids are grown, so he just goes home and smokes dope, fucks, and goes to sleep. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, huh?
I got little kids, but they're both in school, so I got time to fuck before 3. Like that's happening all the time.
I got time to fuck before 3.
But
quick! There's an open window. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
No, sex before
not before
right
the show.
after lunch is good. Then you take a little nap.
Yeah, before lunch. I'm not doing it after lunch.
We always take naps because so we can be not asshole. Puss has a great line about that. Our producer about not being an asshole the rest of the night. If you're burned out and feel like crap, you're an asshole to everybody.
Well, not so much of an asshole the rest of the day.
Take a nap, and then we, I don't try to go to bed too late anymore, but just so we can have a good show.
What time do you go to bed?
Hopefully, I'm asleep between 10:30. No later than that.
And then you're up at 5.
Yeah, but that's only we leave that allocation for age. When we were younger,
4:30.
We partied our ass off, and even midweek, which was tough.
Do you feel like you've gotten better the more
the show's
responsible
better.
you
Yes.
are?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think. Well, the show's more of it's a complete talk show. It's been that way for 13 years now. I mean, it's all talk, and I think the show is more focused. It sounds stupid saying that because the last thing I think people hear when they hear it sounds focused, but it's definitely more focused. That we're not.
Just for the record, I've been on your show. It's not entirely focused.
No, it's not focused, but we're not in there with an hour's sleep with a bunch of shit in our systems.
Yeah.
And but we still show up a little hungover, and the hungover days actually are goofier. So we don't know what's a good show. We don't. It'd be like you on stage. You don't know when you're going to have a really strong night.
A hangover is beneficial.
Yeah.
Sometimes it drags you down.
Is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
It
gets you to say stuff you wouldn't normally say.
Except I've learned that me sober on stage is much better than me drunk.
Yeah.
Me sober on stage is a focused individual who's firing all cylinders.
Right.
Last night they sent, I think, 8 shots to stage, and I did all 8 shots, and they started fucking with me, going, "We roofied you," and I was like, I was like, that's not enjoyable.
No.
Now I'm in my head, and I can see the candles whispering to me. Thanks, assholes.
That's not even funny.
We roofied you.
Yeah, I fucking lost my shit. So.
But the hours, it's what it is. We wake up too damn early, and you stay up too damn late. You're lucky for you, man.
So.
So for us, it's pretty much Groundhog Day.
Right. It feels that way.
Day.
Yeah.
Except the subject is different.
Some days it does.
If I did a radio show, which I could never do, where there's a bit, a weather, we don't do weather, we don't do anything like that. We just fucking talk like a podcast, like you would say. Of course, we were doing it before podcast.
I'm just talking about work, fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's Groundhog Day.
Eat, fuck, sleep.
Eat, fuck, sleep. Eat, fuck, sleep.
I think we're saying fuck too much in there.
You realize,
you can't bleep any of this. I know you can't.
I'm thinking, and we're not really using it that gratuitously.
No, I don't think we're so either.
Yeah.
No.
I'm thinking.
No. I meant we actually think we're getting laid more than what we are.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant by that.
The national average is 6 times a month.
Yeah.
No, what I'm worried about is we're so comfortable saying the word in front of a live microphone now. What's going to happen Monday morning?
You mean tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, damn it. Oh, fuck.
Because we never
were just with Bert. We said fuck on the mic a whole bunch.
Different studio.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting that we weren't. I would assume we were in your studio in my head, and I was like, I wonder if they're going to have me sit back behind the and then I was like, I was glad to know we're in here. It's kind of like neutral.
I don't
want
to get used to being in that studio dropping F-bombs.
Right. Potty Mouth Puss dropped a shit bomb on the air the other day that we had to edit out.
Yeah.
The words you can say on radio, you can call someone a dick,
right?
But you can't say, I
whipped out my dick.
Do you know Nikki Glazer?
I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Okay, my favorite Nikki Glazer story. I bring her in. I'm in Richmond. She has a show on MTV. She has a great podcast called "You Should Have Been There." You had to be there, something like that. She's beautiful, but she's very funny. So I bring her in. She's a young comic. She's featuring for me, and I said, "Why don't you come in and watch me do radio, just so you can get a vibe for how radio works, or the way it works well, or not that I do it great, but we know." So I bring her in. His name was Sludge. It's now Brian Haddad. Okay. He does radio in Philly, but he has a show in Richmond. He's a good friend of mine. And so we go in and we're talking about the quickest you've ever had sex. That's the subject on top.
All right.
What's the quickest you ever met someone and then had sex with them? And
that's a great story.
And so I don't have any good ones. Mine's like over a 5-hour period.
Right.
Nikki Glazer goes, I have a really good story.
So it's a girl.
So it's a
girl.
They're
always going to win that battle.
Sure.
Because they can say.
So this is right when Facebook's blowing up.
All right.
So we bring her over. And she comes over. She goes, I met a guy at a bar, and he reminded me of like one of my brother's friends, and I just automatically like empathized for him. Like I liked him, so I just was like, fuck it. Or not, he didn't say fuck it. She goes, I was just like, you know what? I bring him to the bathroom. I sit him on the toilet and I blow him. And Sludge is like, whoa, dump button. He's like,
dump button. Right,
you can't say that. You can't say that.
Right.
She goes, what? And she was like, I've heard you guys talking. He goes, no. You can't say that. You can't say that.
Right.
And so they dumped it. Now the listeners have spiked.
Right.
They're all on Facebook going, what did she say? What happened? Because they just dumped her out.
Right.
And we're like, we can't say what she said at all. She goes, I think I can say it. I know how to say it. It's not like bad. And they're like, okay. So she comes back. She goes, okay. Well, and we're like, now let's set the scene. Nikki was telling a story. We had to dump out of it, but she's going to clean it up. And she's like, all right, I met a guy at a bar. He reminded me of one of my brother's friends.
Thank God she reminded her brother.
No, right.
Yeah.
And I automatically empathized for him, and I decided to take him into the bathroom and suck his dick.
So you dump that.
You can't say suck his dick. You can't say suck his dick.
You Can't say suck his dick.
She's like, why not? You guys have been saying dick the whole time. Like, stop saying dick! Stop saying dick!
That's a great story, man.
It was my favorite. I literally was losing my shit going, oh, how the fuck? And so she was like, but you can say dick. You can say that guy's a dick.
Right, yes.
You can't say I sucked his dick.
No, you can't say he sucked his dick, no.
So you can call someone a pussy.
Right.
But you can't say I ate her pussy.
Thank you.
Or slap that bitch in the pussy.
Right.
Did you give her a third chance after that?
No, she was.
That's something on you, though. Slap that bitch.
It's a joke I have about. I saw a porn where two girls were going down on each other and they were like tapping each other.
Right.
But I was in sex mode. And I was like, I'm gonna bring a new move in. Yeah. But you get so wrapped up in it, all you can hear that, and because I hit her too hard, and because all you hear your brain is slap that bitch in the pussy, son. Just wham! Survey says. And so my wife's like, but now I'm doing bits on my own podcast. Fucking bad.
Stop it. Save it for the show.
Yeah, the audience will pick up on that.
Fuck. It's the one thing about doing podcasts. You can't do any, like, it's no bits because
you're right.
You can come up with material like it is yet to be released. But Ari Shaffir and I had a thing about Juan Carlos that I kind of was like formulating, and I was in the whole corporate thing, but I was afraid to talk about it really.
Got it.
Because I was like, I don't know, is it insensitive to gays? Mm-hmm. And then did a podcast with Ari. I will save it for that when you hear it with Ari. I'm not going to. I'll tell you guys a bit later. But it was maybe the hardest I've ever fucking laughed is me and Ari talking about Juan Carlos.
Got it.
And that I'll try to. He said the N-word aggressively.
Okay.
A few times. So I'm trying to edit as much as I can.
As opposed to the kind way of saying it.
Well, no, what happened is just so much that I just was like, I can't have this word this much on the podcast. So I got to edit it, but I don't know how to because I can't. You
don't know how to?
Oh, it's like, oh, my God. Oh. Well,
thank you, Bert.
I really appreciate you guys doing this.
No.
This has been. I would hold you here all day, but I know that you guys have been kind enough to come in on a Sunday. You're not working. You just came in to do this. I love doing your radio show. Your radio show is
Todd-N-Tyler.
For those of you guys listening, if you enjoyed this podcast, this is exactly what their show's like.
Yeah, it is.
Literally identical.
Minus the
fucks.
Yeah, but we're getting around to that.
Well, we still talk about fucking. We just don't say the word fuck.
So
I can't go on the air tomorrow. I'm going to swear within the first half hour. I know.
The best is I can't wait.
It on, man.
I can't wait for the people to start texting you guys or tweeting you guys about the podcast and then going, whoa, how much money do you think Bob and Tom make?
I ain't telling them. I ain't saying shit. That's up to them. I wish our agent wouldn't take so much money.
A lot.
We'll go with that. I wish my agent wouldn't take so much money. That's what pisses me off.
But yeah, this has been an absolute blast. And like I said, if you enjoyed this, download their app.
Todd-N-Tyler. Just search Todd-N-Tyler on your smartphone. TNTRadioEmpire.com is the website.
You don't
go see Bert Kreischer anywhere. Of course, you listen to Bert's podcast. Well, actually, a lot of people probably haven't got a chance to see live yet. Yeah, I know you're everywhere.
Pre-order the book, Bert Kreischer's Life of the Party.
If you're not 21, you can't see Bert yet either. So go see Bert, man. Life of the Party. Pre-order it.
So you can. The way the world's cracked out now, you can listen to their show absolutely anywhere you are.
Right. Oh, yeah, anywhere.
Anytime.
Yeah. That's the beauty of this. If you enjoy podcasts, well, guess what? That technology applies to them, too.
Yes, it does.
So you can listen to this show, their show, anywhere you are. Follow them on Twitter at
TNT Radio
Empire. They're on Facebook. They're in Omaha. They are my friends.
Based in Omaha. Based in
Omaha. Syndicated, even in California.
We're everywhere, yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah, you guys are everywhere.
Hopefully.
So, we don't know.
You don't need to.
From week to week.
Yeah, we don't know.
Really know who's dropped us, who's kept us.
Syndication money, man. That's where it's at, Cowhead.
All right, man.
I love you guys.
Tell me we're writing that Cowhead money, by the way.
Yeah, I will let you know.
Yeah, do that.
Should we call him right now on air? Well, let's just call him right now and see what he says. Guys, you heard it earlier.
We just guessed. Todd just guessed.
Let's see. Okay, Cowhead sell. Let's see.
I'm thinking not as much, as Todd said.
You're going to go lower?
Only because it's afternoons.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here he goes.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Hey, it's Bert. Listen, I'm sitting here with Todd and Tyler. We're in studio doing a podcast, and we've talked about you a great deal. You're going to hear this. They've ballparked your salary
Are you ready for this?
We have no idea, by the way.
They have no idea.
Based on your success. Yeah.
Okay, they ballparked your salary at $500,000 a year. Are we at the over or under?
You want to know by how much, or you just want to know over or under?
Just over under.
Over.
Oh. Wait, does that mean you make more?
No, he said we were over.
No, we're over.
I make slightly less.
Oh, shut up! Oh my God, you guys are good.
I know.
Yeah.
They're fans. We talked about you on the air. You should listen to the podcast. I'm releasing it tonight.
He obviously generates a little revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun to talk radio with these guys. I think you'll like this podcast a lot.
You're worth $500,000.
I'll check it out.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Oh, guess what? Guess what?
Hey.
What? What's up?
Hey. How much do they make?
Guys, here we go. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah. Tell them under that number we said.
Under.
They said under.
But by the book.
They said under what?
Under what you
under what you said.
Less
No,
than
under the $500,000.
Under the $500,000 they said.
And probably less than you.
We don't know.
Are you hearing them?
If you're making over $500,000, I'm going to kill myself.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
They said they're not.
I'll kill myself live on their fucking show.
Ask who their agent.
Oh.
Who's his agent? Ask him that.
Who's your agent?
Tony Burton and Don Buchwald.
And Don Buchwald. Yeah.
Oh, he's got Buchwald.
Yeah. He's got
Okay.
awesome.
We got to get a hold of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys got to hook up.
Yeah, we do, man.
But I have a new contract coming up in a matter of weeks, which should put me over the fucking over the edge. I should be rich. Yeah.
We were talking about syndication. We're talking about syndication money. We were talking about it was really fun. I think you're going to like this podcast a lot.
All right, good. Finally one that I'll like.
All right, I love you, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
All right, see ya.
Hey, guys, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
doing this.
Bert.
Thanks
I
for
had
having
a fucking
us.
blast. I always say this, like when I do a good podcast, I can tell this is a fucking good podcast. Thank you.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.